There was once an era when the word impossible was only a myth, a fable told to scare kids. Now it's a distant memory that I try to cling on to as I fight through this war torn land, with thoughts of regret sinking from the weight of my heart. With each step more difficult than the last, my boots dripping with the blood of the fallen, not blue like ours, but black like the moon. When they came, they didn't soar through the clouds or race through states and minutes as we once did, before their pestilence and deceit plagued our world. No, those beings plummeted from the outers, crashing and cracking the fertile ground that gave us so much, crawling through our fields like animals. I've gone eons without being one with the sky, and the nights have never been darker. Our eyes used to light up the city. Now they barely glow, getting dimmer as the ages pass. When I started this journey to find the path to our greatness, the source of our power that fueled us beyond the stars, I knew I would get weaker, but not like this. My hands are something they've never been. They shake when the illumination is gone, and clouds form as I breathe, cutting my lungs. It's all too strange. Though I still have strength to push onward, my mind tells me otherwise. But what we think and what is real has always merged. I just made it another 20 kilometers or so. As usual, I am one. I haven't seen another stalwart or fallen in 2 cycles. My supplies are getting thin. I'm hoping to find a crop soon that hasn't turned vile, a wretchedness that has no place here. The soil has begun to turn red and is turning to glass like our sand by the brine where you and I would sit stirringly as the pure blue danced in the air. I miss it immensely. I want to hear my name leap from your mouth as it did when we dove from the cliffs, then floated down to the inner realms of grotto where we tasted life, a sweetness that will stay with me always. I remember the present was constant, not fleeting, like the beats of our hearts. We could live in a moment, capturing the essence of the aura that emits from all. The colors in the sky before the fall meant our spirits were high and in agreement with our mind. It was always there, stretched out across the horizon, a tribute of our continuity. I would go to it and feel a surge down to my very core. The first time I took you there, we held hands and felt lightning pulsating from the tips of our fingers to the toes on our feet, and your hair went from blonde to blue. We laughed so hard we couldn't stand or float. The lush meadows carried us as we lost ourselves by the 7 hues of life. When we lived and let live, when the strings that dwell within us were never pushed or pulled, their movements were their own. Now we're akin to the pure blue in more ways than one. It brings rains to my eyes, as does the heavens to our lands. If you can see me from where you are, know this, your vision is half mine, clear and true. Feathered creatures have vanished, yet I still hear their songs in unison. The trees they inhabited are decaying, some even lean, while others have fell, so I keep my distance. The thunder's roar shakes the ground and rattles my ears, but there hasn't been lightning since we locked hands. I'm making the best of the worst, because I can't look back until all is right. My ring was becoming too big, so I put it on a string. I don't think I could bear losing it. On my chest it lies, but the only treasure I carry is the memory of you. There's a haze to be seen from all sides. What's behind it could be more or less of the same, but I'll find out soon enough. 4 rays of light shine through the haze as I made my way through the rocky inlands. I had to sit and rest, my legs are weary. I have only a few sips left of nectar, and my nourishment will be gone. I'm not afraid of famine. Fasting has always been essential to my psyche. I imagine the sweet bread with the fire lights that we all ate at your commencement. The fire burned bright, and the bread a symbol of unity. We shared many meals, as well as views broad and narrow. I was always full and better when I left than when I arrived. To feel is to know. The solidness in our society transcended what is here and past the moon. I'm beginning to see that love is many things, most not even comprehensible. My dreams have collided with nightmares. I've seen you all again, only sitting in chairs with the wheels of a wagon and your faces unfamiliar. A bittersweet sleep is what it was, but I would trade my waking life for it in an instant. These pages I inscribe contain me in every sense of the word. The cloth that covers my body is withering with this place. Its sickness is engulfing. I find myself unable to breathe. the air harsh and unnatural. If I only knew the purpose of this tragedy that has befallen on us all, then maybe a remedy could be had. The wise elder who returned to the brine to balance the brio of our mind taught me many things, so he lives on through the knowledge he passed woven with the vigor of titanium. The skills he entrusted to me can't be found in leather bound tomes. Some things must transfer, not be engraved or scribed, for anything physical can be had by any or all. A voice in my head whispers riddles and tales about brittle nails used to construct domiciles while sectionaries cut no corners. What does it mean? I will remember. There is no fallacy when you do not know. Search to the ends of the world because nothing is absolute, especially the mind. It is a world of its own, with bridges that could be made and seas to sail, so you could reach to the other side to grasp what puzzles you. Be sharp and not dulled, otherwise you won't make it through the cartilage of life, and you will crumble. Here I am, not whole or halved, but 1/5 of who I was at the ether lands, where I was sharpened by the sharpest and called upon for showings of the muse in the void. There were no walls or only windows and doors, and when you looked up, you would see the outers. I'm near the livid trail where many were dared to walk because flight was too easy. My boots and the soil look one of the same. This hike will be my elevation, and I won't stumble because I train with the best. We ran up mountains, tackled boulders, and drunk from the wells of Evers. There's a sign there to invoke thought, because we all could fly. The edge is to be respected, not feared. I foresaw a better place, but I did not act. I stuck to the pillars because I believed it was I who held them up. I want to go back and peer over the edge. My grief cannot be shared. It is I who watched my future and did not follow the path. No one is molded. We are the air. We are the sky. We can go anywhere. We can be anything. Madness is in my shadow, so I must keep moving to wear it out so I can rest. The fortitude I once had is fading and nearly gone. Chaos and confusion tore through the layers of my armor that we forged together at the Palace of Honor. The moat around it was filled with diamonds and gold. In its vast confines it had things of true value. Inspiration was abundant. It gushed from the floors. We slid on tranquility and bottled up benevolence. No sacrifices had to be made. Our smiles were the thanks we gave. Tenfold they were returned. Boldness a staple but never needed, for we were surrounded by heirs with unparalleled allegiance. Once gained was the triumph of us all. There was no glory worth having alone. We were synonymous with infinity. I can't pretend I know the date, but the cycle is vivid. We sat in the mist. It wasn't morning or night, but just after dawn. Your dress was white with ruffles dipped in stars, the brilliance behind your crystal frames more marvelous than anything I had ever seen. You put your head on my shoulder. I took a deep breath. I wasn't yours and you weren't mine, but we were one. A herd of beautiful winged walkers landed to drink from the rill. You couldn't hold your joy. You covered your mouth and squeezed my arm tight. My veins coursed with the never-ending desire to have existence again, for the grounds to mend and for our spirits to rise from the ashes and reach new heights. I gazed down below where obsidian forms and smoke rises. It was a sight to behold. My pupils widened as I stared into the lividness of the trail. I took a step back, then continued on. My diligence comes from you all. My extremities move so I can be still. A windmill is off in the distance, stagnant, but in one piece. My nectar is long gone, and I have an inconceivable amount of ground to cover. I've been throwing stones and drawing in the dirt, reliving when we needed nothing. I've begun to awake to my own voice, for my mind races faster than the speed of sound. My sanity is slipping from the grips of reality. The duality of my mind and soul is converging like day into night. I've been without an epiphany for too long to make sense of this deluge of my inner self. A scourge above and around me withholds me from eternity in the plains of bliss, now which only can be described as despair, a word that was only heard, never felt. My kind did not falter or faint. We rose higher than the most distant suns. The signs in the sky, stories of triumph, proof of life lived, our signature of greatness. All these things will not be forgotten. I am a vessel, I am a vote. The trueness of where I stand is the key. Who I am is of no consequence, but what I carry is the pulse of Epsilon. I will travel beyond the horizon to make amends. The sole of my boots were crafted on the floor of the pure blue where we all will return. So I walk with the nation in this altered state that has become a realm of doom. I beseech the universe to no avail. I crush limestone in the palm of my hands to make way for little things in this world of hurt. All things dwindle, but love grows, more wild than dandelions, more vast than space, and can't be weighed. When our eyes meet, we are supernova. I ran my fingers from your hands to your arms to fill your veins with me, so apart we would never be. Why must I seek forgiveness when our world is the prey? I wish to discern docile from obstinate. Though I know I am neither nor a leader, I follow the wind like a barren its mother. Things I ponder have no conclusion. Could it be that I am an illusion? Is my thought my own? I've been roaming past where I've been and where I am. Can I see myself, or do I see what I imagine? Finally, I found nectar to replenish my body. It hid beneath a pile of dead leaves that I kicked up. A surge of energy has reignited the fire that burns in me, hotter than lava. The land ahead is still sick. Pus bursts from the grounds like wounds on the injured. It smells repulsive, but it keeps me alert. The further I get, the more carnage I find. I won't go into detail, for I want to spare your mind these images that have sunk into mine. What lies ahead, I do not know, but I hope it would be rays of elation, because I want to smile as we once did when we first saw each other before we knew each other's name. When my gaze met yours, oh, the sparks that day could have lit this world 100 times over. There's so many words I long to say. I could write you a book filled with poems and sweet some things, because I mean what I say, and you mean more than the cosmos to me. What I would give just to sit beside you again, to feel your aura, to touch your skin, to hear the softness of your voice. Your proximity to me caresses me. You were the plains of bliss. I did not care where I was as long as you were by my side. I swear on all things except my heart, because it belongs to you, that I will find a way for us to be in sync again. Beady-eyed creatures flew from a swamp that I sat near to rest. An oil-like substance dripped from their greenish red, shiny bodies, melting what it made contact with. My feet did not touch the ground for moments. Those things are not indigenous. They must have arrived with the fallen. As I ran, I heard a sizzling sound and sensed heat on my back. They screeched louder and louder as they neared me. The path I was on split into 3 roads. I went left, but I ended right back where I was, so I chose center. The road stopped at a broken bridge. There was no water down below, just rigid rocks waiting to impale me. The gap was about 16 yards. Impossible. I turned back. Those things resembled a dark cloud. I told myself it's now or my secession. I thought of the livid trail, the dares in my hikes, the drinking after running up mountains. The oneness in me had gotten me this far. How could I stop now? My legs were so light. The tips of my boots touched the ground like a dancer. My last step propelled me most of the way. I had to grab hold or plummet. I pulled myself up, no longer light but more agile. Those creatures paused on the other side, glaring at me while hovering. I matched their stare to avoid showing weakness. Sweat ran down my forehead. I knew my end was approaching, but I did not fret, for fright is the ultimate adversary, and I will not ever give in to it or its kin. I will master all that is formidable. It is the only way to survive, adapt or perish, fight or fall, stumble or run. This quest will carry my name through all cycles. The weight of the world will catapult my name to a stratospheric height. The grotesque creatures went away just as quickly as they followed. I won.